welcome to this episode of Lessons in Logic. In this episode, we'll show you how you can visualize metrics exposed by Prometheus for an application and create a dashboard to house these visualizations. Visualizing log data is a great way to get critical insights and patterns to stand out from primarily textual logs. A dashboard lets you gather the various visualizations you've created in a single pane. You can use dashboards to gather visualizations from a single application or multiple distributed applications to give a broader, more contextual view of distributed application performance. In this example, we'll first create 3 queries using Prometheus metrics from a sample Kubernetes API server, visualize these queries, and then create a dashboard to house these visualizations together. Let's go ahead and create our first query. On the LOGIQ UI, click Create, and then Query. The first query we'll create is to retrieve the total number of API requests. Let's go ahead and name it and create a tag for it. Tagging your queries makes it easier to filter through a long list of queries you may have on your LOGIQ instance. Then, select the data source. In this example, we're picking the LOGIQ Prometheus instance as the data source. Our Prometheus integration automatically loads all the metrics exposed by Prometheus for our API server instance. You can either select a metric and pull it into the query editor to build your query, or search for it by typing the metric's name in the search schema text box. For our first query, we'll use the API server requests total metric and pull that into the query editor. Since we're trying to find the total number of API requests over any given time interval, we'll add the sum and rate functions to the metric along with a sampling interval of 5 minutes. Let's also add a duration and step parameters that will allow us to generate results for a specified duration for the time steps that we specify. We'll start with a duration of 1 hour and a step of 5 minutes. Let's run the query we built by clicking Execute. As you can see, the results of our query appear on the screen. The results display the total API requests over the past hour, sampled at intervals of 5 minutes. LOGIQ allows you to extend further the capabilities of your default querying language by adding custom, switchable parameters to parts of your query. By adding custom parameters, you'll no longer have to write out entire queries again whenever you only need to alter specific parameters in your query. In this example, you can customize the duration and step parameters to accept different time ranges from a drop-down menu. Let's take a look at how to do this. Select the time interval specified in the duration query and delete it. Then, click the Add New Parameter button in the query editor. Add the name of the keyword. In this case, we'll use duration. The title for the keyword is automatically generated. You can optionally change the title to anything else that suits your purposes better. Under the Type dropdown, let's select Dropdown List. The dropdown list adds a visual dropdown list to the query parameter containing values that you specify and allow users to toggle and select from the specified values. Now let's enter the values in the Values text box. Let's enter time ranges of 1 hour, 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours, and 24 hours. Similarly, let's create a drop-down list for the step parameter. We can set the values to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and 60 minutes. Doing this creates a drop-down list for the step parameter, allowing you to select a step value from those specified in the list. Let's try out the custom parameters. Select values from duration and step from their respective drop-downs, and then hit Execute. You'll see that the query results now contain data for the past hour, sampled at 10-minute intervals. Changing the duration and step values using the drop-down lists and re-executing the query will generate results according to what you select. Now let's go ahead and create a visualization for this query. Clicking New Visualization takes you to the Visualization Editor. The Visualization Editor enables you to build custom visualizations for your query results. LOGIQ supports various visualizations, including charts, counters, gauges, pivot tables, search tables, regular tables, and word clouds. Let's set the visualization type to chart. You can name your chart if you'd like to. Select the chart type as line. Now let's select the data to be plotted on the x-axis and y-axis of our chart. We'll plot timestamps on the x-axis and values on the y-axis. A chart for our current query results is instantly plotted within the editor. You can further customize the look and feel of this chart based on your requirements. Let's go ahead and save our visualization. And then activate, set a chart refresh schedule, and finally, publish our query. Our first query and its associate visualization are now published and ready to go. Let's quickly go ahead and create our next query and visualization. Our second query aims to generate the total number of queries that generated a 4XX response code over a specified time range. Just like we did for our first query, we begin by clicking Create and then Query. Let's name our query and tag it too. We then select the same data source and search for the metric API server request total and add it to the query editor. Since we're looking for the API request that generated a 400 series response, we'll add a rule that matches any log line with a response code starting with 4. Let's also add the duration and step parameters to this query and execute it. We now have data that matches our query generated for the past 1 hour at intervals of 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and set custom parameters for the duration and step parameters as we did for our first query. Now that our query and custom parameters are fetching results, we're ready to visualize this data. We'll choose an area chart and plot timestamps on the x-axis and values on the y-axis for this visualization. We'll also group the visualizations by the resources in our application to easily spot which resources are generated for XX responses for API requests. The resources we group by are displayed on the right side of the chart. Clicking on the resource highlights the related visualization for that resource. Now that our query and visualization are ready, let's go ahead and activate and publish it. We'll keep our third query and visualization super simple. Our third query simply lists the total number of API requests received over a specified time range. We'll start by naming the query, tagging it, selecting the data source, and searching for the API server requests total metric. Once we add the metric to the editor, we'll build out our query. Since we're starting to gather the total number of requests, we'll use the sum function along with a rule that matches the HTTP verbs get, put, post, and delete. Since we're likely dealing with millions of requests, let's get the query to divide the result by 1 million to be more readable. Executing this query generates the total number of requests made to the API server in millions. To round this off to 2 decimal places, let's add the round function to our query to round off the results to the nearest hundredth and execute the query. You'll now notice that the results have been rounded off to the nearest hundredth. We'll visualize this data using a simple counter. We'll name the visualization as Total API Requests. Add a custom counter label, and then save the visualization. We now have a handy counter that displays the total number of requests made to our API server. As usual, let's activate the query, set a refresh schedule, and publish it. Now that we've built 3 queries and their related visualizations all built out, we'll go ahead to build a dashboard that we can use to quickly access and centrally view and work with these visualizations and queries. To create a dashboard, click Create and then Dashboard. Let's name our dashboard K8's API Server Metrics and then save it. To add visualizations to this dashboard, click Add Widget. In the Add Widget window, search for the new queries we created. We can also scroll through the list and select the query. Let's also choose the visualization to display, since LOGIQ also creates a data table for every query, along with the custom visualization. We now have our first visualization on the dashboard. Similarly, Let's go ahead and add the other two visualizations we just created. You can easily resize every visualization widget so that they stack up nicely against each other. Click Apply Changes so that our widgets and their arrangements are baked into our new dashboard. You can also add a tag to aid future filtering of dashboards. You can also refresh the visualized data by selecting the custom duration and step parameters and clicking on the refresh icon against each visualization, or clicking the global refresh button. You can also select the Options button against a visualization to view and edit the underlying query, or edit the custom query parameters. Our dashboard is now ready for use. As you can see, LOGIQ has powerful querying, visualization, and dashboarding capabilities that help you dig deep into your data to uncover the unknown unknowns within your system, spot patterns and anomalies, and generate actionable insights that help you improve your system's performance, security, usability, and scalability. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Lessons in Logic. Do subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to learn how to make the most of your Logic instance and know what's new in the world of Logic.